Okay, and we're live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to our Zoom participants and good afternoon to our FB Live viewers. So, welcome to another e-learning session powered by Ariva Academy. This is Irish Balonde Samson, your host. And for our topic today, strengthening positive beliefs and tapping into courage. But before we start our learning session, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome our out-of-country participants. They are from Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, from Dhaka, Bangladesh, Ghaziabad, India, and Saudi Arabia. Thank you for joining us today. And I would like also to acknowledge my in-house training clients. They are from Nesda Technologies, from FactSet, from NIDEC, hello, NIDEC rather, from Emerson Fisher Rosemount, and from Fuller Industries. And now, before we move on to the introduction of our speaker, I'd like to say some few house rules for us to have a smooth flow of the e-learning session. We will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our question and answer portion. For the question and answer guidelines, participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click raise button. Again, please click raise button for the administrator to enable the microphone for live questions. Questions may also be given via chat. One question at a time will be entertained. For comments and feedback, I will give you time to scan this QR code. Please scan this QR code and it will be directed to our feedback form. Please send us your comments and feedback for us to improve our future e-learning sessions. Okay, let's start. To discuss strengthening positive beliefs and tapping into courage, we have invited a strategic interventionist, a life coach, and a motivational speaker. He is the CEO and founder of LifeKite, a personal growth company based in Manila, operating in Mongolia, Thailand, and Cambodia. He regularly conducts seminars in Manila, Iloilo, and Cebu. His passion has always been about helping people find professional success, personal happiness, and fulfillment. Ladies and gentlemen, let us be inspired by Coach Bam Santiago.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you guys can hear me. Thank you, Irish, for the introduction. So first of all, before I start, I'd like to say, of course, thank you to Ariva Academy for inviting me here. Also, I'd like to, of course, to JM and the rest of the team. I'd also want to say hello and thank you to everyone who's watching, who took the time out to watch today. I'm really grateful for your attention during this time. I know a lot of people are going through a lot of challenges during this time, and I believe we all need some form of encouragement daily. So I want to make sure that your time spent here will be time well spent with the content that I want to share. So again, I'm just so grateful and happy to be here. Thanks, Irish, again for the introduction. So as I start, before I begin, of course, I'd like to say hi to everyone watching us from all over the world. So I'm glad that you guys were able to come in and join on this webinar. I'd like to, I guess, share a little bit of background about myself, if that's okay. And hopefully I'll get my screen sharing to work. So let me try this one. Okay, I don't know how it's not working. How do I share my screen? Okay, well, anyway, if it's not, well, we're trying to figure out how to share my screen. My name is Bam, and for the past 10 years, I've been doing personal growth trainings both here and abroad. As Irish mentioned, I also do trainings in other countries. So I started my own company called LifeKite back in 2017, bagong bago lang. But since I launched that company, we were able to go international I think in less than a year. I wanted to share some photos, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like I'm able. Uh, it says here that the host disabled participant screen sharing. Is it possible for me to share my screen? But I don't know how to do it. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Thank you. I got my screen. I got my screen. So if you could go back lang, just the first slide. Um, Whoever's controlling the slides. I don't have control of the slides. So if you could go back. Okay. I think that's going forward. That's going forward. Back. Yeah, yeah. So start there with LifeKite. So then next slide. I'll just go next slide. It's okay. Um, that's the name of the company. It's LifeKite. And these are brands that I've worked with the past 10 years, but more recently, the past 3 years. So next slide, please. So you can see there are some recognizable brands here. I've done trainings for corporate clients. I've done trainings for schools. Of course, the insurance industry, finance, sales and marketing, restaurant, hospitality. So it's quite diverse. The range of people that I've done personal growth trainings for. So next slide, please. But there's one thing that I want to share. This one is one of the first. I think this is the very first training I did in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and this was very interesting. And I'll share why. I'll share later why I'm showing these slides. This was me in a room of 60 participants, 60 Mongolians, and I was the only one who spoke English there, more or less. Besides the leadership team, but all the participants were speaking the native language there, and my program was 2 days. So imagine I'm here in this space, and for 2 days, everything that I'm saying is being translated, right? And just before I started, I was feeling really, really nervous. I never had an experience of doing the work that I do where it had to be translated. But I'm so grateful that even before we ended day one, participants were already sharing how the program was helping them and encouraging them and uplifting them in some way. Of course, it's all translated to me. But the second day was the most, I think, one of the most amazing experiences I've had. So a lot of people had their personal breakthroughs. A lot of us were stepping into um, I guess learning about things about ourselves that we never discovered before. That is tapping into our potential for to create change that we want in life, right? So a lot of us we're wondering, like, how can I live life differently? So the process that I do is simply getting people in a room and exploring certain things about ourselves, or our life experience, and letting people come to a space where they can come up with new choices to live life more happily. So I'm grateful for this particular batch. I was invited again to do another program here, my second level program. A lot of amazing stories in Ulaanbaatar. This is just one of them. The next slide, it's me. This is now me going to another country that I've been doing work for, which is Thailand. I have amazing, amazing partners here. And this is interesting. This is a program that I did for the senior managers of one of their biggest companies, telecom companies, the Telecom of Thailand. And again, the program that I did here was 100% translated. So there's always a delay with frameworks that I'm sharing, the jokes that I'm doing, but as you can see, even though it was translated, we were still having a lot of fun. Hindi ko talaga naintindihan yung sinabi dito, but you just said, just pretend that you're having fun or whatever. So I was saying I didn't really understand what the instructions were here, but just say, show that you're having a lot of fun. One interesting thing to note here, especially since we're practicing a lot of physical distancing, is what is this? Oh yeah, great. So I have to go back. Can you go back? Can you go back? How do we go back? Going back to that yung Thailand slide, just the Thailand slide. Yeah. So here, ako ba yung may access? Do I have the access to it? I can move it. Great. So I didn't know I could move it. Anyway, going back here, one interesting thing to note here about this particular workshop was going to Thailand. Our partners mentioned, Bam, because we do a lot of hugging in the seminars, where it's necessary, because a lot of people, I don't know, those of you who are watching, maybe even before this pandemic, you're already feeling, burnt out, tired. You needed to release a lot of stress. I mean, the stress levels we're going through as human beings, it's off the roof. but a lot of us don't know how to release the stress, how to be able to acknowledge and let go of the stress. So that's part of the program that we do. That we do some parts where there's physical connection. So here, this particular training, sabi ko nga, I was told, here in Thailand, we're not very used to physical touch. It's not really a touching a culture. So we know they would do kapung kap and all of this stuff. So they're already doing like physical distancing. But what was interesting about this training, I was doing an exercise here where we were doing gratitude and affirmations. And this lady behind me, if you can see her in yellow, while I was in the middle of the exercise, so we weren't going to do any hugging, no connections, just words. She raised her hand and she said, coach, is it okay? She spoke a little English. She said, is it okay if we hug each other? And we, the training team and I, we looked at each other like in shock, like, wow, it just goes to show that we all have these preconceived ideas about, a culture or a people or human beings, and we might not necessarily be, might not necessarily be true. So what was interesting about this experience is that, they started hugging, men were hugging men. And I feel like, especially now, since we're not able to connect with people physically, it's so important to be able to talk about the importance of physical touch, at least memories of it, right? Just for now. So as they were hugging, there was a lot of emotion being shared in the room, and people were so appreciative of just that human connection. So that again, this is to point out that we're all coming into this pandemic with certain beliefs that may not necessarily be true. So you're gonna have to test it throughout this time that you were in lockdown or enhanced community quarantine, and see which beliefs are still working for you and which are not. So I'll go to the next slide. Let me try to click if that's gonna work. No, yeah, there we go. So what I found out from and I'm not going to mention all the trainings that I've done abroad, but what I did find out was that it doesn't matter what language or belief or religion or nationality you have, or age. As human beings, we all have the same human needs, right? And just to simplify, what are human needs? We all have a need for um, security. Like we all want to feel safe, and especially again during with what's happening in the world today, a lot of us, that basic need to feel safe and secure, that's being threatened to the very core. So our health is being threatened, our job security, our mental health is being threatened. So just seeing this alone, just this one need of ours, that it's sort of like it's very, very shaky during this time, right? So but that's one of the needs that we probably will be talking about today if we have time, right? Your need for security. The other one is also understanding that as human beings we have needs for variety, right? We want to be able, that's why we love traveling and meeting people. And that's another need more or less that's taken away from us during this time, because we're seeing our bedroom. Nakita ko nga yung mga post ng iba, kwarto prinsesa. You're seeing all the same things over and over again, every single day. So we're really mentally challenged now. Like, how can I find variety in what I'm doing? And again, that's perhaps something we'll talk about. Another need that I've discovered in working with people the past 10 years is that we all have a need for love and connection, right? And again, this is something, especially now, that we need so much. Now, some of us, we're not very self-aware, so we don't understand. Like sometimes when we're feeling down or feeling lonely or feeling bad or feeling sad or angry, we don't know that basically, not that we're just angry or frustrated or upset, but it's just that our basic human need to feel loved, to feel accepted, to have someone listen to us when we're speaking or sharing, it's not being met. And so we react in many in a variety of emotions, right? That's why I also, in the programs that I share, I also try to share about emotional literacy, being able to understand what are these emotions coming up for me. So this has been called emotional quotient as well. But another thing that what we talk about in the program is also adversity quotient. And now we're going through times of adversity and really major challenges in our lives. So this is where you're going to see now, like how do we as human beings respond or react. So when you're reacting, it's just sort of like you're seeing a lot of external stimuli and you're being triggered, right? So that's why I keep reminding people, when you're triggered by something, go back to your human needs. What's a particular need that you want? Maybe it was just to feel secure. Maybe it was to have some change or variety in your routine. maybe it was for you to feel love and connection, which we all need, especially during this time, and the other one is significance. We all want to feel important in some way, right? That's why you'll see online a lot of us are sharing opinions, and a lot of us are sharing our own point of views about certain issues and topics, which I think is great. Which I think is wonderful to be able to, that's your right to be able to share your opinions and express what you think about certain issues. But I will be sharing later on, like, it's not just enough to be able to express and say that. Or if that is where you being able to identify, some people just want to express, and I say that's okay. But for those people who are sincerely messaging me and asking me, coach, I'm angry about this thing or that thing, I'm watching or hearing this post, then I say, how would you want to use that energy now? Like, do you want to just stay in your room and be angry and be upset and curse people, or do you want to use that energy to go out and help people and connect people and pray for people, support them in some way? So that's another thing. Lastly, or the two, it's we all have a need to contribute and to give, right? So a lot of us are coming out now and sharing and giving, and that's meeting they call this the need of the spirit. That's really making us feel really, that we're contributing to something bigger than ourselves, and it's wonderful. So I love it when I'm going through my news feeds and seeing people helping out, and and laughing and smiling. We all have that need to give. Lastly, is it's our need to grow. This is also a need of the spirit. So that's why I love webinars like these, and any opportunity that I have to be to where I can share, because we all have, especially again during this time. Obviously, we're on lockdown. Uh, there's a saying that goes, if you're not growing, you're dying. So, and I'm not very strict about this either, Irish. I'm saying if some people want to grow, then go ahead and grow and learn and study and do your online courses. And some people are making an issue and saying it's not a time to grow, it's not a time to study, it's well, I say find out what works for you, what is okay for you, and apply that, right? But I think we're having a lot of wasted energy in terms of conflicting beliefs and opinions versus just respecting one another. It's so difficult to do that during this time, to just respect, because we all have different beliefs, right? But the human needs, which I'm showing you with this picture, the human needs are fundamentally the same. Okay, so now as I start this one, as I start my session, I want to say a picture of Einstein here, because my topic is about finding courage and strengthening your positive beliefs during this time. So Einstein has a quote where he says, and I'll paraphrase, where he says, the most important decision you can make in life is to find out for yourself, whether you're going to decide that this is a friendly universe, it's a friendly world, or it's a hostile world. Now, what you're going to be seeing online is a lot of people are seeing the world as hostile. It's out to hurt them, it's out to hit them. People are bad, people are evil. And I'm not saying that evil doesn't exist. For sure it does. But it's always still about where you're putting your focus on, right? A lot of people are sobrang daming stress, right? A lot of people are so stressed, these days, because they just haven't really decided yet, like, what kind of world do I want to see as I'm going through this pandemic? And then again, I will get to the point where I will tell people, if you're stressed out and you're anxious, I have sort of like something to share about that as well. But it's so important to be able to determine first, how do I want to see life, and how do I want to see life events, especially as I'm going through social media. Okay, now, so here's a line that I share as well. Everything that's happening today, you could be looking at, the pandemic and the virus and everything being shut down, your work being affected. I'm affected. You could be saying, and again, these are just options. You can just choose or come up with your own, find what works for you. By the way, I forgot to do my disclaimer. My disclaimer is I'm sharing things that have worked for me and that I've found are effective for me. And it's helped me become happier and more productive as a human being. And find out what will work for you and choose what you like and throw away what you don't like. So as you're going through this crisis, some people might be thinking, this is happening to me, right? Meaning I am a victim of everything that's happening around me. And that's one perspective. Another perspective is to look at it and seeing this is happening for me, right? But to just be able to shift the way your perception about events that are happening, and this doesn't have to be even with the pandemic. It could be in your relationships. It could be with your health. Like I had a health crisis 12 years ago. But changing the way you view yourself and you view your life will spell the difference between being able to succeed and get through your challenges versus you bogging down and being defeated and going into depression, where you're not able to act, you're not able to do any affirmative action that will get you towards a better outcome. Okay, now I'll go next. So thanks Einstein for that. So again, all throughout our lives, you're going to notice that your beliefs are being reinforced. We all have positive beliefs, we all have negative beliefs, and I won't go through all of the beliefs that we have, but just as I would say a simple guideline, you're going to know. So bam, which do I have more of, negative beliefs or positive beliefs? And by the way, why are we talking about beliefs? Because your beliefs will always drive the actions that you're taking in life, and it'll also drive the results that you're getting in your life. And all you have to do is look, like, how am I enjoying my health? How am I experiencing relationships today? How am I enjoying my relationship with God, with my husband, with my wife, with my kids, with my parents? How about my work? So you're going to notice that it's in all of these areas. You're going to be noticing, like, you have certain beliefs that are supportive and non-supportive. Okay, so here's a simple indicator. So how do I know which beliefs of mine are supporting me and which are not? Now I would say anything you see that could be dragging your energy down, and I'm saying this with again, take this with a grain of salt, apply wisdom. Anything that could possibly be dragging you down and making you feel bad, or not good enough or not important, right? You're going to know that there's still those negative beliefs that are constantly going to be dragging you down. A lot of us are also triggered by our relationships. A lot of us are triggered by where we're watching and seeing online. And you're going to notice if it's dragging you down, you might have a belief. Like, what's a fundamental belief? Like, life is difficult. People are evil. I can't trust people. And you're going to notice, like, your energy. When I say energy, it's your, the emotions that you're going through. Majority of them would be you just feeling dragged down and pulled down. And it's not helping you focus. As a matter of fact, a lot of us are breaking down and having panic attacks. I know I've had my panic attacks during this time, and it's difficult. But at least now you're going to have an awareness or an understanding. Okay, this is something that's pulling me down. Okay, what I'm putting my focus on is pulling me down. It's not something uplifting for me. Okay, at least that's step one, being able to identify. So this is knowing that you are. You're not a victim of the world that you're seeing, right? That you can still make different choices. But a lot of people don't understand that. Here's another fact, right? We think around 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. 90% of those thoughts are thoughts of our past thoughts that we already thought. It's recycled over and over again. And we're expecting, like, something to change in our lives, but we're still seeing people, experiences, and life events as the same. Like, it's working against me. It's people are bad, people are evil, and then we're wondering, how come how come I'm not getting out of my rut? How come I'm staying stuck where I am? So but then again, like I say, I respect people for the choices that you're making in your life, but there are people who are sincerely saying, bam, we want to know, like, how can I forgive? How can I move forward? How can I let go of this painful past that keeps haunting me and bothering me? I want to, be able to experience joy again and happiness. So this is one indicator, okay? And then you're going to notice there's going to be things that are also lifting you up. It raises your energy. I mean, just looking at this picture, right? I'm trying to simplify it, and to have your radar on is so important, right? So to have your radar on it is important to know, like, hey, this is dragging me down, and there are things that are pulling me up, but to find the balance between those two. So having said that, I have a slide here, but it's I think napunta siya sa dulo. I wanted to say here, like at the end of the day, it's supposed to be the first slide I was going to share, and I hope you guys can hear me. But at the end of the day, it's not just about positive emotions and negative ones and focusing more on positivity. And people are saying this is false positivity, and I agree. So my slide is towards the end. I'll recap later. That's why I say, if you can hear my voice, you can write this down. It's okay to not be okay. Okay, it's okay to not be okay. That's the first thing I say in my programs. That's the first thing I say when I'm coaching people. How do I know that? Because I go through not being okay every single day. So I posted on my social media, I said, since the start of this lockdown, I've exercised, I've read books, I'm doing online programs, I'm coaching, I'm I'm doing productive stuff, but at the same time, I also had my mental breakdown. I had a panic attack. I couldn't sleep. I was fearful for my family, fearful for the world, fearful for the work that I'm doing. So it's okay to not be okay. So I'm not one of those guys who will say, you go to your garden and then you see, madaming weeds, and you're like, there's no weeds, it's all flowers. No, you can see the weeds, right? But I'm not someone who would, deny that there's weeds, of course. But also, then what do you do when you see the weeds, right? So I hope that's clear for people who might be wondering, is this all about positivity? No, it's not, because life is not just about positivity. Life is about pain. Life is about hurt. Life is about suffering as well. But like I said, to each his own. There are people who are sincerely looking for a way through the suffering and the pain. And all I'm saying is there are options, right? There are options here. And it's just a matter of you choosing. Now, I put a magnifying glass here on this slide because, not just this pandemic, but anything that you're going through life, it'll just really highlight the beliefs that you have. And what I'm big on as a trainer and a speaker is I try to tell people, this is my message, Irish, most of the time. Sinasabi ko, always be kind to yourself. I don't believe in beating yourself up. Bam, I failed in my relationship. Bam, I was unkind to my kids. I was unkind to my parents. I ignored people when they needed help. And, I shut off God from my life. Then I say, that's why there's forgiveness. That's why I share forgiveness. You know, um, for me, there's always redemption. There's always, recommitting and going back. But bam, I tried to recommit and go back, and then I fell again. Then I say, then treat it as if you're starting right at that moment. Get back up again and do it. I don't believe in people just staying down on the ground and stuck and beating themselves up and hurting themselves. Why? Because it's destructive. It's not helpful for you. It's not helpful for people around you either, right? So I think that's clear, right? So to understand that it's okay not to be okay, but having an awareness of how long do you want to stay not okay, because if you stay there long enough, it's going to hurt you physically, right? Emotionally, mentally. Now, during this outbreak, um, I try to keep sharing as much as I can that one thing that you would want strong during this time is your immune system. That is something that's so important for you to keep strong. But how can you keep your immune system strong when you're constantly angry, frustrated, and panicking and anxious? That's why I'm saying, not okay, it's okay not to be okay, but understand if you stay there too long, it's going to affect your health. Why? Because you go into what's called fight or flight, where all your blood, just to simplify it, parang back in the old days, when we were still hunters and gatherers, and a saber-toothed tiger, when you were being hunted by a saber-toothed tiger, and if your body had to choose between running away, or we're fight virus, which would you choose? Which would your body choose? Of course, it would naturally run away. Otherwise, the saber-tooth tiger would eat you. And who cares whether nagkaroon ka ng, sipon or ubo? It doesn't matter. So, but it's the same thing that's happening. So, all the blood goes to your extremities. You either ready to fight, you're ready to flee, or you freeze. But the important thing to notice here is that your immune system shuts down. It does not perform optimally when you're in fight or flight. Now, there's no saber-toothed tiger, but it could be, someone that you're constantly fighting against. It could be, it could be a human being, or it could be an ideology or a belief, or it could be, you're fighting against yourself, which many of us are doing. And we're constantly in fight or flight. Then magtataka tayo, like we're wondering, like, how come I'm not healing? Why am I more susceptible to disease? Well, because you're not giving your body enough time to rest. And if you're going to notice, people who are sick, what do they need the most is to be able to rest. Why? Because all your energy, wala kang energy, you don't even have energy to be able to stand up and walk. Why? Because all the energy in your body is going to fighting the virus or the bacteria or the disease. You need all the rest you can get. Now, for many of us during this time, what's being highlighted here is we're not getting rest. But what's happening? We're getting more panic. We're getting more fearful. We're getting more angry, and it's not adding up to going into that rest state. And we're wondering how, and it's prolonged. So it's not an ideal situation for many of us to be in. But again, my belief is some people want to be in that state, and I say God bless you, and find out what it is that works for you, and you do you. This again, this has just helped me. It's helped people that I've worked with, and I pray it helps you. So I'll continue. So it magnifies who we are. So you could be like this cat, right? And you could see that in times of adversity, you see yourself as like this tiger, and you're strong, and like you can handle anything. And a lot of us are in this position. And I say, God bless you if you've got that courage, you got that resolve. Your adversity quotient, emotional quotient is very high. That you know how to handle emotions that you're cycling through during times of crisis. Great job. And my hope is that if this is you and this is how you're seeing yourself, perhaps you're also extending encouragement and support to people around you. That's just my belief. I believe that every time when we're in a state where we feel joyful or courageous or happy, to go on and share it with someone who might not be in that same state. Because a lot of people are in this second state, and this second state, maybe a lot of people can relate to, like we're scared, like we're freaking out, we're panicked, we don't know what to do. So that's why the balance is so important, having people to be able to share. Like for me, if I had just kept watching all the data and the news about people getting sick, and how this is affecting everything, I mean globally, right? This is my face like every single day. I'm worried, I'm panicked. But here's the problem. A lot of people, we don't just get information. We're not just getting a bit of news. We're watching news in the morning. We're watching it during breakfast, during lunch, during afternoon time, and then dinner, and then just before going to sleep. We're flooding ourselves with so much negativity. But not only are we focusing on negativity, but we're sharing it. We're sharing it to so many people. Like, hey, this is the bad things that are happening, and what we're doing is we're spreading more fear, right? But I say they both always exist, right? Things that are going to, even before this pandemic, there was always a reason for us to be afraid. It could have been, it could have been some other disease. It could have been a car accident or some other accident, or it was just your time to die. But fear has never been more highlighted than today. So at least bring that awareness, like, hey, this is you, this is your face every day, because you're consuming too many things that's making you feel fearful and making you go into fight or flight, and making you panic. Okay, so um, I guess I don't have to really go through this, like, but you already know what it feels like when you're going into fear mode. Your heart is racing. I felt that just before doing this this broadcast. My heart was racing. Your hands are clammy. They're cold, dilated pupils. Your blood pressure is increasing. You're ready to run away or fight, right, or freeze. So at least you have some indicators. That's why I say, if you're already feeling this, use it as your trigger to know, like, hey, I might be spiraling down to a dark place, and a lot of people are there already. But a lot of people in that dark place, they're trying to raise their hands and say, like, please, someone reach out for my hand. I need support now because I'm losing it. And I totally understand that, right? But at least for others to be able to discern, hey, I'm going into fight or flight. I'm feeling this fear. It's taking over myself. Like, what do I do? So those are some of the things that I'll be sharing in a while as well. So, great. Good news is help is on the way, right? So if that's you, so you notice I'm speaking to a select a group of people. If this is you and you're just overwhelmed and you just don't know what to do, what your next step is, it's okay. It's okay. Um, I have some things that perhaps that, and then it's my hope that during this session, certain things that will help you be able to cope, be able to get through this very difficult time, because that's what it is. And to call this as, like, something else, like, oh, this is nothing, it's okay. It's a difficult time. It might be not be that difficult for you, but a lot of people are suffering, not just in our country, but all over the world. A lot. I'm not just talking about finances, but in terms of their mental well-being. They're afraid, they're scared of so much uncertainty that's happening in the world, right? And our need for security is not being met. We don't know what's going to happen, right? So when you're facing when you're triggered by something, like to be angry, to be fearful, especially to be fearful or to get panicked, so here's my recommendation, right? And my recommendation is just that. It's just a recommend. It doesn't mean it's going to work. It doesn't mean it's the cure, or it's something that's designed for you. But I have done it. It has worked for me. It has not only helped me, but it's helped a lot of people. And if you do your own research online, you're going to notice that it's something that a lot of people um, recommend and share as well. What is it? It's I just simplified it. I call it Take Six, so it's simple for people to remember. What does Take Six mean? You can write it down if you're taking notes. Take six deep breaths every time you're triggered to panic, to become angry, to lash out at someone in rage or violence, to be fearful, to be worried, to be anxious. Take six deep breaths. As a matter of fact, since we have time, I'm going to ask everyone who's participating to do this, right? So now here's another thing that I want to share, just to give value to people who are watching. Normally when we're breathing, we breathe like this. So parang, ready tayo makipaglabang, or we're ready to fight. So I would say practice abdominal breathing. It's really very, very powerful. Lalo na yung mga struggle with anger and fear. That's why your blood pressure is going up. That's why you're more susceptible to all these diseases, right? So try this. Take six. So what you would do is you get your two fingers and put it on your belly button. Hanapin mo. If you can find your belly button, can you find it? Maybe being on the quarantine has made it difficult for you to find your belly button. Hope you can find it. And then just put it just a little bit under the belly button, right? And when you breathe in, you're going to notice that your stomach is going to expand. They call this diaphragmatic breathing, or rather abdominal breathing to be more accurate. So pag nag-inhale ka, your stomach is going to get big. And then as you exhale, as you blow air out, it's going to get smaller. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale, exhale. Now, how many of you, maybe you can comment, like how many of you felt just taking 3 deep breaths, felt more peaceful, more calm? I'm looking at Irish's face. You can see it's helpful. A lot of us are not breathing. Me, I can see your comment. A lot of us are not breathing anymore. Like, we're ready to fight. Who am I going to see online that I can fight? And again, with all due respect, but I'm saying you're shutting off your immune system, right? So take 6 deep breaths. Now, even when this pandemic is over, right, you're still going to go through the challenges with your boss, with the coworker that you don't like, with your husband or wife that you're struggling with. And that's why it's not working, because we're always ready to just fight. But even before you go into that, take 6 deep breaths, take a time out. You're always going to be affected by something emotionally, right? I can see your comments. People are saying they feel good. Congratulations. A lot of people haven't been breathing since this pandemic started, right? As a matter of fact, even if you have issues with your blood pressure, you normally when you go to your blood pressure, you go to the doctor, right? You kahit naglakad kang malayo, you walked for a long time, you went upstairs, you just sit down, and the nurse takes your blood pressure. She says it's 160 over 200 or 180 over whatever. Like, oh, I'm gonna die. But to be able to sit down, take deep breaths, center yourself, maybe say a prayer. I love praying. Finding faith during times where you're feeling fear. It's very helpful. But not to forget, it's fundamental breathing. I have a lot of other stuff, but I'm glad I can see your comments here. It's calming for you. Yeah, I mean, do that. But kumbaga, I'll speak a little Tagalog, excuse me. Kumbaga, wag nyo nang pabayaan yung panic ang mag-take hold of you. So don't allow the panic to take hold of your life, because you're just going to be acting in a way that's very irrational. You're going to want to hurt people because, the irrational mind does not know. There are times when you're very angry and you say things, right, that later na regret mo, like, why did I say that? That was so bad. Buti kung nakakapag-sorry ka. Buti if you can say, please forgive me for what I said. But very few of us, we haven't practiced asking for forgiveness. We beat ourselves up, and it's worse in our relationship. And I've seen this, like I said, like working with thousands and thousands of people in different languages. It's the same thing, right? So take 6. Now, I'll see what I have. So now you won't be wasting energy and I think I'll be talking a little bit about this. How do I know, Bam, that I'm not wasting my energy when I'm angry? I'm not saying don't be angry, right? I know it's being recorded. I'm not saying don't be angry. You always be angry. So people will say, Bam, does this mean I won't be angry? No, that's not realistic. I get angry every day. I do, because I know I'm a human being and it's okay. But a lot of people, we don't get to shift out of anger anymore. Sabi nga nila, that's just that it's become our identity. I'm the angry man. Well, because you also got to explore the area you as a human being, which is love, which is joy, which is peace, which is kindness, which is goodness, which is compassion, which is laughter. So just so that you won't be wasting energy when there is something that you're seeing that perhaps hurts you because you're seeing other people suffer. A lot of us are seeing people suffer. A lot of us want to defend people. I say, go ahead, defend people. Go ahead, speak out for people who can't speak out for themselves. But just to make sure, I will be sharing some guidelines to let you know that your energy is not wasted. Okay. Now, how do you know that your energy is being wasted? Like, I have a few indicators here, and I'm not saying, again, here's the disclaimer, I'm not saying that mawawala na to. You will feel this every single day. All I'm saying now is you'll be able to at least be more self-aware when you're going into this pattern. So many of us, from the moment we're born, we live life, and to the time we die, we're not even aware of patterns of how we behave, how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. And we're wondering, like, why is my world so chaotic? Why am I not doing okay in my relationships? Why am I always suffering? Because we haven't really gone to a place where we practice enough self-awareness. I mean, I've been doing it for so long, I still forget. That's why we need constant reminding. So here's your reminders of, like, when will it be wasted energy, Bam? Whenever you're going to a space of blame. I love it that I can control my slides. Okay, when you're going to a space of blame, and you're just there blaming. And again, with all due respect, if that's you and you like doing it, God bless you. Stay in that space. But there are people who are sincerely asking, how can I get out of just blaming? What do I do? I'll talk about it next. A lot of us are just staying in this space of being angry, a lot of anger. Every day we're just angry. Every day we're angry. And here's an important thing, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that later, maybe with the Q&A. But also guilt. Anong klase kang ama, anong klase kang ina, anong klase kang anak ng Diyos. I mean, and again, with all due respect, but I don't play the guilt game. I've played that game for so long, and it has not led to me liking myself or respecting myself or loving myself. And maybe a little bit more about that again later. So if you've been playing the guilt game, maybe you're the one guilting people to take action. I wouldn't say that's a very effective motivator for a lot. Might work short term, but how many of you would want to be in a relationship? That's the measure where for you to be able to act on something, people will have to make you feel guilty, right? Every single day. Would you want to be in that relationship? Or maybe it's reverse. Maybe you're the one in that relationship, and you're in a space where, I'm just very truthful, where you're the one manipulating people through guilt, but you're not finding your own joy and your own peace either, because that's not who you are. That's not what you want to be doing, right? So here's indicators. Next is shame. Shame is now, Bam, I did this thing happened in the past, and I still have not forgiven myself for it, and I'm bringing it until the day I die, and I want to punish myself. Even if government won't punish me or God won't punish me, I'll punish myself. How do you punish yourself? By making yourself unhappy your whole freaking life. Like, you stay unhappy and you say, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be in a good relationship. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve that. And for me, that's really invalidating, in my belief, with all due respect to yours, God's creation. To be created by a being of kindness, for you to be able to live life to the fullest, and you robbing yourself of that opportunity to be able to be happy in your own life, because you say, whether someone left you in your relationship, maybe you're really a bad person, or you did actions that hurt other people. That's why I love reconciliation and restoration of relationships of human beings, because once we go into a different, I guess, level of awareness, we start behaving differently. We've all hurt people. We've all had said stupid things that hurt ourselves. We've all hurt ourselves also. We've all, many of us have not forgiven ourselves up to this day. Uh, Many of us have not forgiven other people, and we're wondering, why are we unhappy? So it's not about just experiencing blame, anger, guilt, shame, But if you're not taking any action that can move you perhaps through it, okay, or out of it, then I would say perhaps a lot of people are playing the role of victim. Ano yung victim? This is now people who are aware that there's something in them that's creating suffering for them and their family members, but they, for some reason, um, it could be a choice or it could be not, but they're not making a choice to do something differently or to do something about it. So I say, watch on you don't like it, by all means, take action, or say something. Go to people who are decision makers, who can influence that issue that you want, uh, addressed, right? Otherwise, you're just making a lot of noise. You're making a lot of noise. And a lot of people think, like, if I just make enough noise, sure, involve people, but why not make your noise more productive, right? Where there's a specific outcome that you want. Otherwise, you're just playing the role of victim. And the victim, now, why would people want to, I'm also watching my time. Why would people want to stay victim? Well, because for many of us, the only time we get attention, okay, this is now our need for significance, to feel important. The only time, and this is a sad fact, the only time we get attention is when we play the role of victim. It's when people will see us when we're crying, when we're upset. And again, with all respect to people who are going through challenges, but there are people who, you can bounce back. You can get out of that rut that you're stuck in. You can get out of that pain and suffering that you're in today. I know you can, right? Oh, there's the camera. I know you can. But to be able to just stay in that space and not, do any action, or ask for support, for another topic, but you're really responsible for that. And again, I do understand depression. I went through my own, where people could be, that's what I'm saying. I understand you. People are praying for you. Your people are trying to encourage you. Verses are being read, motivational stuff, and you still feel like crap. I know what that feels like, 100%, right? There's nothing working, right? But but that's why I say, being able to discern the process that individuals are going through at the time. But I'm trying to reach people who are ready, and they're saying, like, bam, I'm ready. Like, I really want to be lifted out of this. Bam, I really want to be able to see joy and love and peace, and be happy again in life. I'm speaking to those people. So that's your wasted energy. Now, I'm going towards the end of my presentation already, I think. But I'm watching my time. So this quote, I love this one. It's a quote by Jim Rohn, and he says here, "Stand guard at the door of your mind." I think the Bible has an equivalent. If it's not the same, it was, "Stand guard at the door of your heart, for from it comes the well springs of life," something like that. So now, again, more than ever, it's important to stand guard at the door of your mind. A lot of us are allowing trash. Would you allow, pag dumadaan yung basurero sa inyo, sorry for the metaphor, well, the garbage truck passes you, would you allow them to dump all the garbage in your home? And you go, of course not. I'm taking out the garbage. I'm throwing out the garbage. Well, so many of us are unaware. We're actually letting people dump garbage into our minds. We're allowing people to dump garbage into our hearts. And we feel like trash. We feel like garbage because we're not aware that it's our personal responsibility to be able to guard and protect what we absorb, what we're focusing on. So, quick metaphor. I know we've got like 11 minutes, but quick metaphor is, I shared this yesterday, and some people might find this important. Are you still okay, Irish? Okay ka pa? I'm just like, well, I didn't know what I was going to share, but yeah, good. She's good. So imagine this whole room is dark. Okay, wherever you are in the world watching, or in the country, your whole room is dark. And now this room it represents the world, right? And in this room, there's good things, and there's also bad things, right? Things that are not so nice to see, but everything is dark. So imagine. So if you guys can imagine with me, now you're given a flashlight. Okay, imagine it's a flashlight, and now you switch on that flashlight, and you're going through your house, this room, right? And now you can see, oop, you shine that light on something, and you see it's good, right? And now guess what you focus on is where you're focusing on that light is what becomes your reality, as you're seeing good. But guess what, a lot of us are shifting that focus, and we're going to other parts of the room where we're seeing a lot of bad, and we're saying, okay, I've seen the good, but I also see like really bad people, really bad stuff. But I want to like sort of like fix my focus here, and I want to make this my reality. But bam, did you forget that there was good? Yeah, I know there's good, but I want to see this. And how is it making me feel? It's making me feel really bad. It's making me feel like a victim. It's making me feel paralyzed and I'm unable to make any new choices. So why not, go there? Well, because so many of us have gotten so used, we've conditioned ourselves to just focus on the bad. We've conditioned ourselves not to see the good anymore. First of all, in ourselves, very few of us can actually give an affirmation to ourselves, let alone give an affirmation to other people, to say thank you, to appreciate them. We've forgotten that. So that's a metaphor. So stand guard, like what are you focusing on every single day? It's moment by moment. So bam, sometimes I'm focusing on the good, but sometimes I fall back and focus on the bad. Well, sure. If that's the case, then again, be vigilant. Like, how do you know my energy is being pulled? Same thing, I like you're around with. You want to find people that, again, this is just my take. You want to find people that pagkasama mo sila, your energy gets lifted up. You feel good about yourself. You feel encouraged. You feel inspired. That's why I like what you guys are doing. But you've also got to identify there are a certain group of people, and they're not bad people. But again, this is for you to discern where your energy is being dragged down. Mas lalo kang naiinis, napipiko, nabubuisit. Not to blame them, but to know until you get to fix yourself first. A lot of us are, I want to fix the world. No, fix yourself first, right? Then you can see clearly to, fix the world, right? But yeah, to be able to discern there and spend less time with people where you feel your energy is dragged down. But bam, paano kung nadadragdan ako sa asawa ko? That's for another topic. That's for another session with me, perhaps. But yeah, I'm just joking. I mean, I've heard it all. So that's another thing. And I think I'm gonna be doing my recap now. I think again, the biggest reminder here for people who are listening to me and watching this, maybe the replay is, my message is it's okay to not be okay. Please be kind to yourself when you're panicking. Kung gusto mong umiyak, if you feel like crying, I'm a big believer in crying, but I'm a boy, I'm a man, boys don't cry. I think that's one of the biggest BS. That's why, bam, how do I know I'm stepping into not facing my vulnerability? It's when hi Eleanor, I can see you. Um, it's when you want to step, you're feeling vulnerable and emotional, but you keep joking about it. You're trying to avoid the fact that as a human being, I've heard this said before, Irish, pinipigil kong umiyak, ayoko talaga. Why would you want to do that? When you were designed, when people are, when I do coaching for some reason, or programs, people cry, and I say, it's not a plan of mine to make people cry, but I think people step into a space where they feel so safe and vulnerable. And the moment that they're crying, I say, how does it feel? They say, it feels so good. 20 years na akong di umiyak. And I say, well, congratulations on being reminded that you're a human being, that, sometimes life gets unbearable. There's a lot of fear that we have to deal with. There's death, there's suffering, there's pain, there's also violence, there's also hatred and anger from people that they're projecting on you, right? And you get pressured, like, I want to live more joyful and happy and peaceful, but so many people, coach, they're projecting so much anger. And that's why stand guard at the door of your mind, and guard guard your heart above all else. It's so important. But it's okay not to be okay. But if you sincerely need help, go back to the presentation. There's ways you can breathe. Lastly, if you really want support, okay, quick na lang to. Remember, take six deep breaths before you react to anything, especially when you're being, I'm still learning this. Like, bam, have you mastered this? No, zero. I'm learning. That's why I'm sharing it. But now I'm more aware versus before. Next here is watch your focus. Remember that flashlight, the metaphor. You're always in control of that. But bam, what if I've trained my mind to see so much negativity? Then I would say start training yourself to see more positivity, more good, right? It's just training, right? It's just training. Okay, here, this is so important. Practice gratitude. This is something that I think a lot of people are missing. We're just seeing everything that's wrong in the world, everything that's wrong with our lives, but we're forgetting to be grateful. There's so much to be grateful for if you really look, right? If you would really train yourself to do this. So, quick exercise. They do this in the online courses, whether it's Harvard or Yale. They're big on gratitude, really. Like in these schools, yeah. So, at the end of the day, write 5 things that you're grateful for at the end of the day. Read it, and here's something, an exercise I do in my coaching. Make sure every day you're changing what you're writing down, right? So hindi ka uulit, so that you'll be training your mind to see new things that you can be grateful for every single day. In the morning, first thing you do is read your gratitude list, or read your gratitude list, and start the day with gratitude. Your first hour of the day is your most important hour of the day. Gratitude. And I guess as we end, visualize the outcome that you want. So a lot of us are just focused on worst case scenario, right? Like we're all gonna die, everything is gonna be destroyed, and this and that. Yeah, but it's making me break down. I'm talking about myself, mentally, emotionally, physically. It's not helping. So what's another thing that you can do? I mean, I hope this helps the viewers and the listeners. um Tonight, before you go to sleep, as you write your gratitude list, you're laying in your bed, do your prayer. um, I would close my eyes and visualize the outcome that you want. So, what's the outcome that I want? I can see people, I can see this world free from this virus. I can see people gathering again, and shaking hands and talking and laughing and smiling. I can see, okay, as a matter of fact, I'll do, I know we have, I know we have 3 minutes. Okay lang if I do a quick, can I do a quick exercise? I want people to do this, as I can feel a lot of people going through stress and anxiety. Now, if you can do this with me, okay, I'll let you experience a short gratitude visualization, right? That's going to release a lot of your stress. Okay, are you guys ready? Are you ready? I'm ready. So this is what I'll ask you to do. Put both your feet on the floor if you're not lying down, right? Okay, and then take a deep breath from yung abdominal breathing that I shared. Okay. Now, as you take another deep breath, you've got to try this. I'm going to guarantee it's going to make you feel so good. Close your eyes. Try this. Close your eyes. Pikit ang mga mata. Close your eyes. As you're closing your eyes, my eyes are closed. I want you to put your left hand or your right hand, whichever you're more comfortable with, on your heart. Put it on your heart. Go ahead. A lot of you have not felt your heart for such a long time. All that you've been feeling there is a lot of anger, a lot of stress, a lot of worry. So continue breathing. And as you're breathing, I want you to imagine you're breathing in through your heart and exhaling just from that center of your heart, your chest. And I want you to think about one thing that you're very grateful for today. Maybe it's your daughter. Maybe it's your family, they're alive. Maybe it's that you can still breathe. Maybe that you can still help. Maybe that you can still support people. What are you grateful for? And as you close your eyes, imagining that gratitude, maybe you're smiling because you're grateful, nakakain ka today, or nakatulong ka, or nakapag-pray ka. I want you to think now, as we close this visualization, I want you to imagine people who you love. People who you love. Your parents, could be your husband, your wife, kapatid mo, children, a close friend of yours. Think about them. You can see them right now, face to face. They're smiling at you. And know that, that experience of love that you have for them, it's still very real now, even in the midst of this pandemic. There's still a way for you to connect to your heart and to feel love. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath, feeling that love, that gratitude. And as you exhale, go ahead, you can open your eyes. I'm right on cue. My phone started ringing. that's my cue. So I think that was my last, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I'll just so yeah. I mean, thank you guys for taking part in that visualization. So I just put this as a slide now. Think about a favorite nature place, or some place where you'll feel peace. Maybe photos of your family and stuff like that. So I hope that helped you. Oh, lastly, I have a quote pala last na. This is a book I'm reading as I end. It's 4:00. This is Viktor Frankl. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He was a survivor of the Holocaust. He was in the concentration camps in Auschwitz. People around him were being killed. People were being tortured. Wala silang nakakain every day. Pinagtatawanan sila. They were being abused, right? But he in the midst of all his suffering, people were asking how come a lot of people died there, and how come there were very few that survived. how do you get through the most difficult times in your life? And he said this: everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Your job might have been taken away, your finances might have been, taken away from you, your freedom to go out has been taken away. But today you can still choose your attitude given this crisis that we're going through in the day today. It's not a hopeless case. There's always hope for you. So thank you very much for watching. And I'll just fix the phone. Sorry. Yeah. So
Okay, let's just wait for Coach Bam. Coach Bam?
yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. We will just have a thank you for that. It was really wonderful.
Yes.
I am teary-eyed.
You are. Well, God bless
Yes,
you.
I am. I'm
God bless
grateful
you,
for
Irish.
my family that they're healthy.
Yeah.
So we will now move on to our question and answer. But before that, please stand by because we will have a quick break. Okay?
Thank you.